Oh, Greta, you dirty, dirty girl.
What is a flat 4? Comes in 1.7, 1.8, and 2 liters, and was developed by Porsche and Volkswagen? Well, if you read the title of this video, you would know it's the Porsche 914. Cue the intro! The 914 was a collaboration project between Porsche and Volkswagen. It was produced between 1969 and 1976, and was later replaced by the 924. Though Porsche and Volkswagen working together is nothing new, after all, Ferdinand Porsche was kind of the creator of Volkswagen, and Volkswagen did use Porsche as a research and development team for technologies that would later trickle down to the people's car. In case you were wondering what Volkswagen stood for, it stands for the people's car. Volkswagen. People's car. Anyway, with a number like 914, you would think, whoa, that's like 3 higher than the 911. What kind of supercar are you talking about, man? Well, to answer that, my naive friend, we are talking about a flat 4 sporting, 79 horsepower having, 5-speed manual, rear-wheel driving beast. Okay, so it wasn't as much of a beast as it was a small roadster with a Targa top meant to provide a Porsche experience on a Volkswagen budget. The 914 came in 4 configurations. The 1.7 liter flat 4 pumping out 79 horsepower, the 1.7 liter flat 6 pumping out 109 horsepower, the 1.8 flat 4 pumping out 89 horsepower, and the 2 liter flat 4 pumping out a whopping 99 horsepower. Okay, so it wasn't a speed demon, and it wasn't really a contender to topple the 911, but the mid-engine design and Targa top made it a really fun car to drive in the twisties. By this time, Porsche was no stranger to mid-engine sports cars with great handling. The 550, 550 Spider, and the 718 have all proven themselves on the track as legendary cars by this time, so it's no wonder that Porsche wanted to keep that success going. But in Europe, the 914 was different. It was cheap, and it wasn't accepted by Porsche purists or the general public. The car was released by both brands, which made it difficult for both of them to sell, because they were competing with each other. It was seen as the cheap Porsche, but on the other side, it was seen as an over-the-top Volkswagen, which kind of defied the purpose of the whole people's car. If you could buy a Volkswagen, you could buy a 914, but at least with a Volkswagen, you were getting 4 doors and reliability. People dubbed it the people's Porsche, or the Volks Porsche. Get it? Because of the people's car from earlier in the video. Anyway, in the United States, the story changed completely. The 914 was strictly marketed as a Porsche. That decision made the 914 the best-selling vehicle in Porsche's lineup. However, the higher-powered counterpart of the 914, the 914/6, didn't do so well in terms of sales. It was a third more expensive than the base 914, and it was closer to the price of the entry-level 911, the 911T. In fact, between 1969 and 1976, almost 120,000 914s were sold, whereas only 3,300 914/6s were sold. And the reason was the price. If for a few more $1,000 you could buy yourself a 911, why would you settle for a misshapen roadster with the horsepower of a tractor? The shape of the car contributed as much to its failure as the price. The entry-level 914 was cheap enough that living with its shape was justifiable because it was sporting a Porsche badge. But the 914/6 was basically a 911 that just wasn't put together right. It didn't have that iconic teardrop shape that alienated Porsche enthusiasts who could afford a 911T or a full-blown 911. So what are my thoughts on the 914? To be honest, not a huge fan of it, which should shock most of you since I own a Boxster, a mid-engine convertible roadster made in the shadows of the 911 but missing that iconic shape. Sound familiar? But the 914 to me looks too much like a British roadster that really shares nothing with the 911 of its time. The 986 shares the same front as the 911 of its time, the 996, but has 2 trunks for increased practicality. So guys, I'd like to know, what do you think of the 914? Do you think it's a watered down Porsche? Do you think it made sense for Porsche and Volkswagen to release a car like this? Do you think it'll become a collectible in the future worth big bucks like some other mid-engine Porsches? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Instagram at SUPERDIM_vlogs for some awesome, almost daily content. And don't forget to stay awesome.
Thank you.